All right. First question. What have you learned about your team through the first 8 games?
We've learned a lot. I think we didn't know exactly what to expect when we went into Ohio State, how guys would respond when the lights came on and all those kind of things. But I think we've learned that we have a group that's pretty competitive. They want to win. They've done a really good job of learning and adapting each and every game. They've figured out. You can see different guys figure different things out as they've kind of progressed. Not only the new guys that are experiencing it for the first time, but even, like DeSean and Maddie, who now have different priority level on opponent scouting report, how they can, help our team, whether they're shooting the ball well or not. I think guys have learned how hard you have to play and how consistent you have to be with that effort. And if you, relax or try and take a break, that's when you can get yourself in a little bit of trouble. And, so I think we've learned a lot, and I think they've done a good job handling the first 8 games, the amount of travel that was part of that, the scouting reports that came as part of that, and I think they've absorbed a lot of it, and I think we'll continue to grow. I think we have a lot more room for growth, but I've been happy with the progress we've seen so far.
You hit on it with the amount of travel, especially in that first week, 4,000 miles. I mean, would you do it again if you had to?
Yeah, I mean, I don't, and maybe that's not smart on my part, but I don't necessarily take that as like a negative thing. I think, we make sure the guys have ample time to rest when we're on the road. I think, our expectation is whatever gym you walk in, there's a standard that you have to be able to play at. There's a respect that goes to your opponent, a respect that goes to the game, and you got to show up and compete. And everybody wants opportunity to play. Everybody wants to play against good teams. Everyone wants to play against good players. Well, here's your opportunity, and now you got to go up and you got to rise to that challenge. And I think it gave us opportunity. Even from the Ohio State game to the Grand Canyon game to the San Diego game, you could see some growth. You could see some maturity within the team. You could see guys, like I said, starting to figure things out. And I think each performance improved as we played those 3 games. So I think it was valuable. I think anybody that we would have played, we would have had to learn lessons, and we would have had to grow. And whether they were home games or road games, it would have been similar because guys just hadn't experienced it before. But we would do it again. I think they were good trips for us. They were good environments for us to play in, and I think it'll pay dividends for us as the season continues to go on.
4-4 through the first 8 games. Is this where you envision to be at?
Yeah, I mean, I think we were hoping to be around this area. I think, perfect world 5-3 would have been, where we would have loved to be sitting at. I think we had some opportunities that we, maybe didn't take full advantage of. I'm not saying that we could have outright won a game or that we outright gave a game away. We're nowhere near there yet. But I think there were a couple instances where I think we could have performed better than we did, and maybe given ourselves a better chance to win. But I do think that where we're at right now with the schedule we've played and the newness of our group, I think is a positive. We're not going to tell them that, and we're not going to say that we would settle for this, because it's certainly not the case. I mean, I think it took pretty good effort by a lot of our guys to be 4-4 right now, and then the question is how well we can continue to grow and perform in our final 5 non-conference games.
After the Saturday's game against Siena, you said that you wanted more energy from the tip. And having a young team, is that something that they're still having to work to understand?
I don't know, because we've seen it in other games where they have had that. I think one of the things for them right now is can they handle some success? You win 4 games in a row, and how engaged are you? How sharp are you? How much are you figuring? Do you think you have it figured out? And I think those are the things that we're always trying to gauge with our young guys is how well do they know scouting report? How well are they engaged the day before the game in practice? And understanding that you have to continue to compete. Even though we might come off game, have a couple days preparation, and another game. When we get on the practice court, that's not break. It's time for us to continue to improve, to work on different things that we didn't do well. We talked after the Youngstown State game that I didn't think we performed really well, but we were able to figure out how to win. I thought that was a good sign. And what I tried to explain to them was hopefully we take this as a wake-up call that we have to prepare better and perform better, or in order to perform better. And I thought our preparation was better by some, but not by enough. And I think that was kind of the way the game played out on Saturday. Was we had some guys that were engaged and played well, and we had some other guys that were, just not with it, and there's no room for error for us. There's no margin for error for us to be able to go out there and just, hope that we're going to figure it out or hope our opponent plays poorly, especially a Siena team that was, coming off a tough loss themselves. And it's amazing how you come off a tough loss and all of a sudden you get refocused pretty quick. We had come off a win where, we played okay, and maybe we were starting to think that could get us by, and it didn't on Saturday.
What are your biggest concerns coming into the season with scoring consistently? How would you assess the team's performance so far?
I think it's been a little bit of where we thought it would be, inconsistent. I think our offense has certainly improved. I think, you've seen guys have some big games at times. I thought, Wednesday against Youngstown, we had, 4 guys in double figures, which I thought was a really nice sign. I thought we moved the ball well. But we got to make sure that we're doing that each and every time out. We got to make sure that guys are, understanding of when it's maybe their opportunity to shoot and when it's not. I thought on Saturday we had a couple times where guys tried to force some things that weren't there, maybe because they hadn't scored earlier in the game, where, hey, I got to go and get my 10 instead of let me just find the best shot for our team, and eventually the ball will come back around to me when the defense has to adjust to our other guys that are scoring. I mean, we always want to try and have a balanced scoring team. Our best teams have had balanced scoring, and it makes you hard to guard when you have guys that are willing to share the ball and a variety of guys that can make some shots, which I think we do.
Since the Duquesne game, DeSean has really taken off as far as scoring. What's been the difference the last 4 games for him? Is it just more opportunities, a level of comfortability, maybe?
Could be a little of that. I think he's been aggressive. I think he's done a good job of finding his spots, getting some stuff in transition, getting to the free throw line. He's not necessarily a guy that's, you can just say, here's the ball and just go, but there are spots on the floor where he's got to attack from. And I think he's been doing a good job of trying to figure out where those opportunities arise. When he gets in there, how he can finish or get fouled and go to the free throw line. But he's been aggressive. He's been getting downhill off, ball screen situations. We've been trying to get him in some space where he can, get ahead of steam because he's hard to handle in those spots. He's always been pretty intelligent about, the threes that he takes, which are usually pretty good ones. When he has his feet set, he's found some of those, which has helped him. But I think his overall activity has been high, and with him, he's a guy who, when he's playing with that kind of activity, good things happen for him on the offensive side. I think there's been games during the course of his career where he said, I got to go out and try and get a certain number. When you go and do that, it doesn't work out as well for you.
Who of the freshmen or the newcomers have surprised you the most?
Chris Coleman, probably one of the guys that surprised us the most. He's given us some really good minutes. He's gotten in foul trouble in a couple games where we would have liked to have him out there a little bit longer. I think we anticipated some of the stuff Kobe was going to do. I think we anticipated some of the stuff John Williams would do. Malik Petway has had some really good games for us. We'd like to get him a little bit more consistent. But I think Chris has been a pleasant surprise. He's been a versatile guard for us. He's made some shots for us. He's made some big plays for us. He's playing with good energy and good effort, which I think is positive. And, he's got to continue to build on that.
Looking forward to Wednesday against Ryder. I mean, what do you expect? Have you had a chance to look at film?
Yeah, I have. I watched them yesterday and watched them this morning. They're a really offensively proficient team. They have a number of guys that can score it. They're shooting 36% from 3 as a team. Number of guys that can really go off the bounce. They've played some. They beat George Washington. They lost by 3 or 4 to Providence. They're playing well, and they have a really savvy point guard in Stevie Jordan. Jordan Allen, who's their shooting guard, has gone off for some really big games, and they've had 5 of their 8 games now, I think, where they've scored 50 points in a half. And 5 of those I think have been in the second half. So they're a team that can really put the ball in the basket, and we got to make sure that our defense is locked in and very disciplined in order not to give them some of the looks that can get them going in a major way.
What will it mean to finally wake up on game day in your own bed? Not just you, maybe the coaching staff, the players.
Yeah, it'll be good. It'll be good. It'll be a change of pace for sure. And hopefully our guys, are excited to, play down at PPG. Hopefully we get a good crowd. I know the university is getting a bunch of students, on buses that are going to get them down there, and hopefully people will be excited to come out and watch us play, and hopefully we play with an effort and an energy and an attitude that, makes people, kind of endears us to some people. So it'll be a change of pace, but we're looking forward to it.
5 games left until conference play starts. What's the goal over the next 3 weeks?
Continue to get better, continue to get more consistent. I think, we've seen stretches of games where we've really been locked into our formula offensively and defensively, and it's paid big dividends for us. In times we've strayed from that, it's really affected us negatively. So I think just continuing to build that belief in it, the trust in it, the execution of it for long stretches of games, I think is the biggest key. And versus a variety of opponents, whether it's home or road, NC State being an ACC team, can you go out and do the same things that you would do against anybody else on your schedule? Can you be in the right spot? Can you close out the right way? Can you communicate the same? I think that'll show some of the growth that we've made if we can do those things, because even you saw it in the beginning of the Ohio State game, we weren't as comfortable as we needed to be in order to play the right way. There's obviously a level of urgency and intensity you have to have, but you also have to be comfortable in your surroundings, or else you're going to resort back to whatever your instinct is. And if it's hugging your man and not being off in the right spot, or not executing, taking your space offensively, those kind of things. Some of the little details of the game that I think make a difference. We want to see us continuing to build on and grow.
9 players averaging more than 10 minutes. Does the rotation start to tighten, or is this kind of where what you had in mind at playing 9 to 10 players?
Yeah, I think that's what we have in mind. I think our guys are, because we're not always the most consistent group yet. I think you have to have some opportunity for varying lineups, for rotations. We want our guys playing as hard as they can for as long as they can, so we don't necessarily want guys out there for long stretches because maybe they're going to take a playoff here or there. So we want to kind of keep guys as fresh as we can, keep as many guys engaged as we can. And I think the more proficient we can be in guys' rotations, how much they can excel in those 3-4 minute stretches, I think will allow us to even maybe get some more guys some more minutes as we continue to go on. But it's nice, I think, for them to have a little bit of comfort in knowing, kind of how the game's going to play out, where their spots are going to come at, how they can go out, exhaust themselves for 4 minutes, come take a blow, get back in there, do the same thing again. And I think some of our better teams have really, lived by that idea of, going out, play as hard as you can for as long as you can, let your teammate go out and do the same thing, and then when your opportunity comes back, going out and doing the same. So that's what we'd like to see, and that's what we want to keep building as we get into conference play.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Andy. That's all I had.
My pleasure.